Hello, everyone. So, as is the case with anything new, there are technical difficulties. So, thank you for bearing with me. Um, we're going to start off this launch party by really welcoming in the energies of the group and also doing a blessing. And so, I just want to make sure that everything is set. So you're welcome to write comments. You're welcome to join in. I'm going to lead a very short meditation. We will be having at noon. I will be coming on and doing some readings and talking about the difference between oracle cards and tarot and how we can use those. And then, of course, at 1, we're having our first speaker who is coming on, the manifestation coach, Vic, is coming on and talking about his own spiritual awakening and his journey and how he has integrated what he has learned into what he currently does. So, so again, I want to thank you for joining me. And even if you are watching this as a recording, I still want you to tap in because it's still important that everyone engage. And so you will also be receiving the blessing, even if you're not here live, even if you've caught this recording, and even if you join the group later and you're not part necessarily of the launch. If you found us after the launch has already started, then you're still going to be part of the energy of the group. And so I'm including everyone in the blessing, everyone who's currently part of the group, and everyone who will become part of the group in the future. So, so thank you for joining me. And I always do this. I always forget. My name is Janie Santoy, and thank you for being here. So about a year ago, I created a business and a webpage called CYBL Now. And CYBL Now is what it means is create your best life now. And my purpose was really to come online and share everything that I have learned on my own spiritual journey and to develop a community here locally. So I actually had to go and learn a lot about what was going on in my life outside of where I live. So I had to find teachers that were in other parts of the country and teachers that were in other parts of the world. And so when I found myself still living here in the Rio Grande Valley and desiring a community. And I couldn't find one. And because I was raised traditionally, so everything was more about going to church and especially the Catholic Church. And I just felt that space did not resonate with me anymore. And it hadn't resonated for a long time. And so, but I knew, even though I had support online, I knew it was critical for me to find support and to find community locally, because I knew that anytime that I went and I actually connected with my friends online that we connected in real life, that we had a great time, and I felt like I had found a family, and I really wanted to have that same feeling here, like locally where I live, where I didn't have to travel and I didn't have to wait until I could do that once or twice a year. And so that's where this whole process for me started. So I started holding meditation sessions about a year ago. And slowly I've been meeting more and more people. And the problem that I have found, though, is that people are spread all over the valley. And the valley is still pretty big. So sometimes you have to travel an hour, more than an hour, if you want to participate in an event. So I thought, what a great opportunity for us to use this online medium to create a stronger community. And not that we're only going to be doing stuff online. I know how important it is to do stuff face to face and to engage in real life. But I think the online space can provide it can provide a nexus point for everybody to meet, for people to know what's going on, for us to share on our journeys, to find like-minded people who will know what you're talking about when you're talking about spiritual awakening, that they're not going to look at you like you're strange, or, like you've gone out of your mind because of whatever it is that you're talking about. So that's the really the energy and the purpose behind this group, for us to come together and to share. I am a teacher by profession and by purpose. So I am here to teach. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing, is really sharing what I have learned, and doing some lessons online. And so I know that not everyone can meet in a particular location, but I've been working online for years as part of my profession, teaching online. So I know what it takes. I know the tools, I know the different strategies, and I know that even though I'm not saying that online is the only thing, but it's something that we can use, especially when we can't travel, or especially when we have limited time. So it's always good to be able to get in front of the computer and be able to join a group, even if you're not there physically. I believe that we're still energetically connected, and we can create that bond energetically online without necessarily being face to face all the time. So again, I want to welcome you. Thank you for being here. And so what I'm going to do is, we're going to start with a little blessing, and I want you to go ahead and just feel the energy of the blessing that we're calling in. And if you want to close your eyes, or if you want to focus on the candle, the candle that I have burning here in the back, you can also focus on the flame. If you prefer to have your eyes open, that will work as well. So what I like to do is, a part of my own background is as a shamanic practitioner. So I'm going to be using some of that to call in the energies. So just go ahead and take a deep breath, and feel yourself just grounded to the earth. Just send your energies, kind of regroup whatever it is that you were doing before, regroup that energy back into your body, connect down into the earth, and then bring those earth energies back up into your body, so that even though we are connected online, you can be fully grounded in your body and your own physical experience. So once you feel that energy rising up, you're going to bring it up to your heart. So we want to connect through our hearts. We want to establish that connection, not just with ourselves and with our guidance system, whatever guidance system you use, but also we want to connect with each other through our hearts. And then just taking another deep breath, we're going to connect with divine energy. So however you understand that divine energy, by whatever name you call it, you want to rise up through the top of your head, like you have this portal or this aperture right at the top of your head, and you're going up as high as you can go, further beyond the earth, because we are, after all, stardust. We're connected to the stars and the energy of the sun that helps to give the earth life, and us as well. And we're pulling that down into our bodies, connecting it in our hearts, connecting it to that earth energy that we have already collected there. So just take another deep breath. And so you want to stay firmly connected both to the earth and to divine energies. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be burning some incense. And so we are going to start with some sage. I know that a lot of people already use a lot of sage for clearing. So I'm just going to go ahead and start it up. And again, even though you're not here physically, so here's sage. So even though you're not here physically, you're still part of this, and this can go, you can think of we're all connected in the quantum, and you can still tap into the energy, the clearing energies of the sage that's burning. So I'm in a small space here, so I don't want to pass out with too much smoke, but we're just going to let this continue to burn. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up a charcoal, and we're going to, and I know that there's a few of you here, and I hope I'm not making too much noise with this, but I hope you can hear me well enough. Like I said, I was having technical difficulties earlier, so I'm hoping that because you're here and I haven't seen a message that I can't be heard, that you can hear me. So what I'm doing is I am just activating a little charcoal briquette here, because that's going to serve to really help us with the other herbs that I'm going to be burning. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for replying and letting me know that you can hear me. So Shiuli, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Just let me know if I'm not. We connected through Meetup, and so you know, that's one of the places that I started in a Meetup group, because I'm like, well, if I want face-to-face community, if I want community here in South Texas, then probably I should start with Meetup. And so a lot of you, in fact, I've connected through with Meetup, but we really haven't had a chance to connect, because Meetup is really about connecting people online. And so, but thank you for being here and kind of jumping over to this new space. So we're going to call in. So each of these herbs really come with different energies. And so one of the things that I've been doing is really working with that quantum energy and with meditation. And I'm also an Akashic Records practitioner. But I know that because we're here in physical, we're here on Earth, that we need to work also with the tools that we have that are part of the earth. So fire being one of them, right? And that's what we're doing here. So really calling in the energies of fire, calling in the energies of transformation, calling in the energies of warmth. So if you connect to fire, think of everything that positive that fire brings us. And because this is a blessing, right? We want to think of the positive energies that we want to be calling in. And so we're going to start by calling in the energy of the South. Now, I know that a lot of you may work with angels, or you may work with other deities that represent the directions or that represent different elements of Earth. And but I'm going to keep it fairly general, because it's hard for me to bring everything in. So whatever you resonate with, so when I say South, then you can go ahead and think of that angel or whatever other spirit you may work with. But if you consider the energies of the South, that's where the fire is connected to the energies of the south. And so what I'm going to be doing is burning a few juniper berries. So, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to show them. So here's some juniper berries. And so the juniper berries are really about bringing in love and bringing in money, bringing in expansion, abundance. So we're going to put that here. And then I'm going to be creating a little grid with these energies to really hold the space for us. And so that's going in the fire and in the grid. So then from the south, we're going to move to the west. And for the west, we're going to call in the energies of vitality, the energies of wealth, prosperity, and protection. So if you just tune in to the, what we think of when we think of the West. And for this, I am going to be burning some mint. And so there's some mint, just some mint right here. And so the juniper berry is already at the fire. And so I'm going to be burning some mint, and you can see the smoke already here. And that's to bring in the energy of the West, and also to bring in the energies of water. So water is expansive. It, it flows. It allows us to connect and to feel serene. And just like we're bringing in the positive energies of fire, we also want to bring in the positive energies of water. So the next, we're going to come back to our sage. And so with the sage, we're calling in the energies of the east. And then east is all about air. So if you think about air, how air helps to circulate, it helps to cleanse, it helps to move energies in your space. So whenever you are trying to cleanse your space and you burn some sage, make sure that you do open the windows, right? So that the sage can burn through. So we have some sage here as part of this. And sage is really about protection, about clearing, about granting wishes. So we want to bring in those energies of the east. And then finally, we want to call in the energies of the north. And so for the north, I'm going to have here, and the north, of course, represents the earth. And so we're already connected, but we have some Himalayan salt. And I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see the salt. So I'm then just going to add those around the fire. And so the Himalayan salt also helps to bring in love, helps us to establish clear and clean boundaries, and really connect with our purpose. And so, and I just want you guys to know that all of these herbs, I actually received as a gift from a friend of mine who lives in Australia. And she also does this work and works with women's circles, which is something that I'm hoping also to start and to do rituals like this. But she gifted me these herbs, and I was waiting, and I knew there was going to be a perfect occasion to use these herbs. And sure enough, the occasion is for us. And I didn't even know that I was going to be forming this group when she sent this gift to me. But as we know, everything is connected, and it's just so perfect. So this particular session was just about opening the energies of the group, opening the energies of the circle, calling in the energies that we're going to be using throughout the connections that we create. So we want to So for me, for example, I really want to call in the energies of air to help me speak and to help me interview the people that we're going to be talking to and introducing later. And so you can call in those energies yourself for whatever it is that you're trying to bring into your life, whatever connection you're trying to make. Now, I did also want to mention that I work with three, or the way that I understand everything is through three different layers. And so that's what I'm going to be having conversations about with the people who are coming in. And so if you do this type of work already, or if you do some type of healing work or some type of work that helps to support people on their spiritual awakening path, let me know, contact me, and I'd be more than happy to set up a time where we can have a live conversation with others in the group, because I think that everybody's way of approaching, everybody's vision, everybody's way of connecting is a little bit different, and we all add something to, we can all add something positive to the group. The way that I understand it, and because it's a lot of different layers, but I'm going to be working with three, and that is awareness, healing, and aligned action. So we know that for spiritual awakening, it starts with awareness. And I was thinking as I was getting prepared for this, in the back of my mind, asking for a metaphor that can serve to really clarify like what I am wanting to talk about. And so in awareness, like, what can I say that really would bring in what I want to express about awareness? And so for awareness, I'm thinking of it like, you know, your phone, and you can set up alarms in the morning. And so you can set up alarms in the morning where it starts really softly, and then it's sort of, the sound escalates and gets louder and louder and louder as if you don't wake up to turn it off, it just gets louder to the point where it's kind of annoying, and then you kind of have to get up and turn it off. But at the very beginning, it's very soft. So I think awakening is kind of like that we get these nudges, we get these messages, but a lot of times we don't recognize them. We don't know that that's what they are. And I think for most of us, those nudges come softly. They come like that gentle sound in the alarm. And if you think of alarm, what is the alarm trying to do? Well, the alarm is trying to wake us up, right? But we're fast asleep, so it takes a while for it to go into our consciousness. But we have so it gets louder, and then it gets louder, and it gets louder to the point where it's annoying, right? And so a lot of us experience that in our path, that we've been getting nudges. So for example, I felt this nudge to reclaim the power and the connection of my ancestors for a long time. But I always just kind of blew it off, and I was just busy with raising kids and my career and so on, and I just didn't pay attention. I just thought, well, that would be nice, but I just don't have time. Until the alarm got louder and louder to a point where I could not ignore it. And I think we all have that type of story. We all have that type of kind of path in our journey, but for everyone it looks a little bit different. Like, what were those nudges? Like, if you start thinking back when you first started getting inklings of where you were supposed to go, but we don't listen, right? Or we don't know, we don't recognize those messages. But so awareness is a key. Like, that is so important for awakening. Like, we need to be aware. We need to be aware of what's happening to us. We need to be aware of why it's happening. We need to have some sort of framework from which to understand what is happening to us. And I think different modalities, and so we're going to be talking about those throughout, so with the different people that I bring in to talk. So different modalities give us different types of awareness. But I believe that it is important to have conscious awareness of what is going on, so that we can really engage our own transformation process, so that it's not just kind of willy-nilly and just going with the flow, when we don't know really where the flow is going to take us. And awareness, and a lot of that awareness needs to be that self-awareness, so that we know what's happening to us and why it's happening and how we can change it. How can we make it better? So and so that's the first level. So I'm going to be talking to people about that level and what they bring in. And then I'm also going to be talking about healing. So a lot of times the awareness comes through pain, right? So the awareness comes through depression, it comes through disease, it comes through pain that we don't understand where it's coming from. Doctors cannot explain it, right? It comes through some sort of trauma that we are experiencing. And a lot of times, like for me, it was just like general life dissatisfaction. It's like, I'm supposed to be happy. I have everything that society tells me I should have. And I am, and the more that it seems like I have it, the more unhappy I am. It's like, why? What is going on? And that's where my search started. And of course, you guys are going to think that it's funny because, of course, I thought I'm unhappy, so I must need another degree, right? I don't have enough degrees. And so I started a PhD program thinking that at the end of that program, I was going to be happy. Like once I have the PhD and once I'm a doctor and once I can get this job, then everything will fall into place. Well, of course, we all know that that is not the case, right? That isn't necessary. That was not the answer. But I was searching based on what society told me was important. And so, but the more that, of course, that I pursued that doctorate, I was still unhappy. And so I had to turn to something else and find out what that was. And so a lot of times what we do is we seek healing. So our awareness, we are aware that something is wrong. It cannot be treated through conventional medicine, and or let's say with depression, for example, because for me, that's what I thought I had. I'm just depressed. If I take this medication, everything will feel better. And of course, that it didn't work for me. I know it works for a lot of people, but it just didn't work for me. I no longer felt the weight that I felt before, but I wasn't happy, so it was just numbing me versus really helping me to find out what was wrong. So I stopped with the medication, and I'm just like, there must be something else. And I know there's something else. And that's where I searched for healing. And so then I turned to a Reiki practitioner. And so we have a lot of Reiki practitioners in the group. And I'm so glad to be able to connect with you guys. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be fabulous to do a Reiki share? I'm not sure if any of you already do that, but I'm part of another Reiki group in North Texas. And so anytime that I visit, I participate in their Reiki shares. And I would think it would be so awesome for us to get together and really participate in Reiki shares often. Maybe not necessarily every month, right? But often. And so we can talk about that in the group where it would be feasible for us to share our own skills with each other. Because of course, even though we are Reiki practitioners, we would benefit from Reiki, from somebody else channeling that energy to us as well. So we then, of course, so after awakening, we turn to healing, and there's a lot of different modalities that we can turn to. Reiki is one of them, and that's what I did. And I got so much benefit from the energy healing that I wanted to learn how to do this for myself and for others. And so I did. And so I became a Reiki practitioner, and I learned other healing modalities, including healing, quantum healing, and then clearing and others. And so I was just learning more and more. But that is part of the journey, is learning to heal and learning, well, what is it that we have to heal? How do we heal it, right? And a Reiki practitioner can help us feel good for a while. But if we don't actually understand what is making us feel that way, then we're going to need to come back, right? We're going to need to come back to the practitioner. So it's like taking pain medicine because something hurts, and but you keep doing whatever you're doing to damage it, and so you're going to need to keep taking pain medicine. So I think ultimately, so we come back to awareness. We come back to, well, what is it that is going on? What is it that I need to change? Because if it's happening, that it keeps recurring, then that means that there's something that needs to change in your life. And what? Well, that takes a huge there's a lot of exploration. So you can do ancestral work. You can do your own personal clearing. You can trigger your, clear your triggers, clear your childhood memories, heal them. Of course, you can go to therapy to do that, but there's a lot of energy healing techniques that you can use. EFT, for example, is one of them. Doing past life regression is another way. Working with the Akashic records is another way. So there's a lot of different ways, and certain ways are going to resonate with you depending on what it is that you're working on. So for example, if you have a past life issue, there's no amount of clearing at this particular lifetime of your own current triggers that you can clear. It's not going to clear unless you go and you work with that past life. Now, some of you may not necessarily believe in that, and that's completely okay. But I know that sometimes we get to a point where I've done everything that I can. What else is there? Like, why is this not moving? And then you can turn to looking like at ancestral work, ancestral healing, or doing past life healing. Those are also options. Doing soul retrievals, which it comes from the shamanic tradition. So all of that is part of healing. And of course, there's layers. So we can heal certain things, and then other things will come up. And then there's aligned action. So once you heal something, then your life is going to change. You are going to be doing things differently. You are going to be making new choices. People who were your friends before are no longer going to resonate with you anymore. New people are going to come into your life. Your job may change. You may decide to start eating better. You may decide to take up art. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to keep you on the path, and to keep you aligned, to keep you growing, to keep you adding and tapping into vital force energy that is positive, right? And not that is something that we need to keep clearing, and we need to keep like shielding from, and all of that. So my like I said, that my understanding, so I've been on this path for 15, really consciously for 15 years. And so what I have learned is that those are those 3 steps, and I call them the spiritual ahas. So we have awakening, healing, and aligned action. And those all 3 are important. They're not linear. So you can start with healing, and then that brings awareness, and you come back to healing, which makes you take new action, right? Or you can start taking new action, and then you find that really opens up the opportunity for healing, which brings awareness, right? So awareness isn't always the first one. Healing isn't always the second one. And we go back and forth. We go back and forth between all of them. So it's important to be open. It doesn't matter where you are in the stage. You're always going to move from one to the other. And as we grow, then we just go to another dimension, another level. So that's what this group is all about. So, and I look forward to sharing more about my own journey with you, and bringing in people who you may not know about, and you may not know that they exist. And so that's one of the things that happened to me. I would say 3 months ago, 4 months ago, is that all of a sudden Vic, and so I'm going to be talking about Vic with Vic later on. Vic reached out, and he found me through an organization that we both belong to, retreats, that meditation retreats that we go to. And when I went to that retreat 2 years ago, and I was called to put my name on the list, and said, that I was from the Rio Grande Valley, and I found, gosh, there's no one else from the Rio Grande Valley on that map. I found myself by myself, and I was just like, oh, well, I'm going to keep my name there. And I just forgot about it until, almost 2 years later, that Vic reaches out and say, hey, I'm down here in the Valley too. And so that was the purpose of me putting my name down on that map was so that somebody else could find me. And sometimes we just have to trust, right? Sometimes we just have to trust that the action that we are taking, if the action is aligned action, it's going to take us to the right place. Like it's going to keep us on the journey. And we may not necessarily understand why it's happening at the time, but we can keep moving forward. And so Vic showed up in my life about I think about 3.5 months ago, 4 months ago, and then we've been making a lot of connections with people who that he knows and people that I know, and so our really our what is that called? Our circle that we can impact has grown because of knowing each other, and so look at how many people are already in the group. You know, I was expecting that it was, you know, that we would have maybe a dozen, maybe, you know, a couple of dozen, but there are so many of us, and really having the opportunity to connect. So I'm going to end this portion before I come back to do some reading. So anyone who is wanting to do a reading, and I'm just going to talk about oracle cards and the tarot, kind of do like a little mini class on it. And then I'll do pull some cards for people, anyone who's interested, if that calls to you. But I want to end today, or this particular hour, by calling in and really thanking the spirit of technology. So, and a lot of you, like, thinking of the spirit of technology, that's going to seem a little weird, right? But there's a reason why the internet exists. There's a reason, and yes, there's a lot of negatives, like there's no question, right? That negative energies can hijack this, you know, the internet, and we've seen it. But I think it's because of that it's so important that we, those of us who are on this conscious path, that we use it to really connect and for our own path, and to really shine light into this particular world, so that we can start thinking of technology as a young spirit, you know, that other people are hijacking, and we need to take that back, right? We need to bring in our own energies and make sure that the light is really bright. So versus escaping it and leaving Facebook. So I know a lot of people are thinking about leaving Facebook or leaving the different social media platforms. I don't necessarily think that's the answer, because it provides a particular service. I think it does help us to connect. And in fact, when I started the PhD program, it was an online PhD program, and I would have never been able to do that without technology, because my family wasn't willing or able to move so that I could get that advanced degree. So the internet and the technology, the internet, specifically the social media as a technology, is very powerful. And so the key is to define how we want to use it, and to use it to spread our light, and to use it to connect, to use it for our benefit. And then, of course, to minimize connecting with those discordant energies that are already available and that we see out there. So we don't want to connect with them and amplify them. We really want to connect with our own light and then amplify that to others. And so we want to do this in this group. We want to do it in this group. And again, because it's a safe space, and that's why I created it as a closed group, so that you can feel like you're safe, that you can have conversations in the group without people outside in your regular Facebook feed being able to see what it is that you post. So know that only, now, of course, can unethical things happen where somebody actually screenshots and shares something? And I think, you know, that's always a possibility that can happen. But so I'm setting a strong energetic container around the group. really bringing in people who are willing to share and who are open about their path and who are wanting to provide that support to others. So we really want to keep that container really strong. And so I will be helping to manage that and looking at who we bring into the group and looking at the conversations that we are having. And so we really want to stick with expansive, supportive, positive conversations around our own path and our own healing journey. So again, thank you for those of you who joined me live. So thank you for being here. I will come back on at the top of the hour to start with the second hour, which is about oracle cards and tarot and how we can use those in our spiritual path. So for awakening, for healing, and to take aligned action. So come back. I don't want to just continue with the same video because I want them to be chunked so that you don't have a 3-hour video to go through, and so that we can so that you can, if you want to watch the blessing video, then it's here versus the second hour and then the third hour. So they'll be distinct videos so you can come back to them, especially if you're not able to stay with us for the entire time, because I know 3 hours can be a long time, that you can always come back and revisit this or these different videos if you're not with us live. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for helping me to open up the energy of the group. Thank you for participating in the blessing. And I will see you in a bit for those of you who come back for my talk on oracle cards and tarot. And then later, like I said, I'm going to be talking to Vic Shifdasani, and I think he's still here, who is going to be talking about manifestation and his own journey. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be talking to 2 different people, and then on Sunday there's 2 different people. So if you look at the schedules, you can see we're talking to someone about plant medicine, specifically like general plant medicine. So Norma Hemberger of Nelly Pot Tea Shop is going to be joining us to talk about that. Joe Villarreal is going to be talking specifically about ayahuasca as plant medicine. So if you have heard of that and you're interested in that, I know that's coming to the Valley. They're working really hard to do that. And but he'll be talking about his own journey. And then we'll also be talking about astrology, and we'll be talking about body work and massage, for example, and how that can help us move the energy that's stuck. So Amy Robinson, who is a massage therapist, will be coming and talking about her own journey and the work that she does. And then Anais Sullivan is going to be talking to us about astrology. So very interesting conversations. I look forward to having them. None of these are staged. They're going to be completely live. So join us, and you'll be able to ask a question. So Vic is saying hi. Thanks for being here to open up. And Vilma, hi. So thank you for joining me here. So we'll be coming back to, like I said, to have the next phase. And if you are here and if you are a practitioner of some sort of healing modality, if you do, and if you share it with other people as a business, and if you are willing to have a conversation with me, reach out to me in the group, and I'd be more than happy to schedule conversation. So I'm hoping to have these at least once a month, so that other people can tune in, so people can know what other things are out there to help them on their path and answer any questions. So if you have questions, please post them. So like I said, Vic, who's coming later on, is going to be talking about manifestation. So if you have any questions on manifestation and your own path, he can answer them. So please engage, please ask questions. post them. And if you're not able to come to one of the sessions, you can always post them in the group, and we can jump in and answer those questions. You're always welcome to send me a message in my CYBL Now page. I will be answering a lot of the questions that come through there in the group, and using those for content, so that because I have a lot to share, but I don't know what would be useful to you. So, a lot of times for me, it's better to answer a specific question because I know that that is something that you want an answer to, versus just sharing about random things that people may not necessarily be interested in, or they may not necessarily be ready for. So, so again, thank you for being here now, and we'll see you in a bit.